And a top focus in WION at this hour. Explosions and gunfire can be heard in the Sudanese capital, Khartoum. This despite claims of a ceasefire. The bitter fighting in the country has so far killed nearly 200 people. Over the weekend, a weeks-long power struggle exploded into a deadly violence between the forces of two generals who seized power in a 2021 coup. It's a fight between Sudan's army chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his deputy Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, who commands the paramilitary rapid support forces in the country. International calls have mounted for an end to hostilities that have spawned increasing lawlessness, death and damage. Battles have taken place throughout the vast country and there are fears of a regional spillover, especially after the International Mediation Rapid Support Forces commander Dagalo said he would support a 24-hour truce. The army denied any knowledge of the truce and later blamed the Rapid Support Forces for breaking it. Now, the Rapid Support Forces had already accused the army of violating the agreement by the time of the supposed start of the ceasefire. Gunfire could still be heard throughout the capital, Khartoum. The United Nations said that there is no sign of a real abatement of the fighting in the country. Office and residential buildings in the capital city have also been left with shattered windows and facades riddled with bullets. As per reports, the pickup trucks carrying anti-aircraft guns were resupplied with ammunition on Tuesday morning. Residents are now spending the last and the holiest days of Ramadan watching tanks roll through the streets and buildings shake.
It hasn't. We can't sleep. We haven't slept in the past 4 days. We try to catch a few naps here and there, but it's not helping at all. We haven't left our house. There have been, I hear stories of other people being able to go out and buy necessities.
Now, many have lost power and internet connections, and when they do get online, they search for news, safety updates and pharmacy timings. However, they only face misinformation on social media. A 22-year-old travel blogger has found himself trapped in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, during the heavy fighting between the rival generals. The blogger, who hails from the Indian state of Kerala, said that he and the people around him were suffering from no power, no water in supermarkets and low food supplies.
It was like a lot of bombing all the time, the gunshot. I actually woke up on the first day with the gunshot and bombing sound and the black smoke on the air. So it was so terrifying. We are not getting water, we are not getting any power, we are not getting any electricity to recharge our battery. So that's the main problem, and water price is really high. Now I can't trust the forces. I had to be inside some house or somewhere, and even the armed force now looting the people. They are coming to people's house, they are taking money.
Now, the latest toll is at least 185 people killed and more than 1,800 injured. This is according to the UN. The true number is thought to be far higher, with many wounded unable to reach hospitals, which are themselves being shelled. The World Health Organization chief condemned reports of some health facilities being looted and others being used for military purposes.
There are disturbing reports of some health facilities being looted and others being used for military purposes. It's also reported that some hospitals are already closed or on the brink of closure due to attacks and the lack of medical personnel and medical supplies.
Civilians are running out of food as the few grocery stores that remain open have been unable to replenish dwindling stocks. Satellite photos show damaged warplanes at the airports in Sudan. The Red Cross and World Health Organization stress the need for humanitarian aid corridors as well. Now, a number of organizations have also been suspended. They've suspended their operations in the country. In Sudan, 1/3 of the population needs aid and 3 UN Food World Programme staff are among the dead. For more on this, we're now being joined by Dua Tariq. She's joining us live from Khartoum. She's an artist and co-founder of Color Sudan. Thank you so much for joining us on WION, Ms. Tariq.
Thank you so much for reaching and covering.
Right, now you're joining us live from Khartoum, which is one of the war zones in the country. What is the on-ground situation like in Khartoum as of now?
Right now, I live 15 minutes away from the military headquarters and 10 minutes away from one of the RSF camps and 5 minutes away from the first point where the fight first occurred 4 days ago. I'm in the middle of 3 hot areas for fighting, and all we hear 24 hours is gunshots. Right now, since yesterday, we've been hearing anti-aircraft shooting. And just 30 minutes ago, my neighborhood was bombed. And there's a footage of 3 people who were killed on the street. We're still trying to identify them.
Right, Ms. Tariq, also talk to us about the humanitarian situation in Sudan. How are the hospitals coping with the number of people who have been killed? The death toll is at least 200 as of now.
The hospitals are not coping, as you mentioned previously. Some of the hospitals being bombed and attacked. Some of the hospital lacks medical supplies and medical personnel. Some of the hospital was controlled by the RSF, especially the ones next to my where I live here, next to their camp, 2 main hospitals. And the other hospitals are unable to provide any medical help. Medical personnel and doctors been sending out calls for help and support. The roads are still unsafe for people to reach hospital. The numbers of casualties are not realistic because there is, as you mentioned, so many people cannot reach hospitals, and there are so many people also dying in the streets and in their houses without people even trying to take them to hospitals. People are traumatized, frightened, unable to leave their houses.
Right, we do know that what was supposed to be a 24-hour ceasefire lasted for just a few minutes, and there are no signs of a real abatement of the fighting taking place in Sudan. What lies ahead for the country, in your perspective?
The country is going to a really bad place right now, because if the ceasefire doesn't stop, people started getting out of food and water and medicine also. There is no supply. The supermarket started closing down, and people are now, we're entering a very delicate and sensitive phase of people will now starve, and the main water pumps of Khartoum are being bombed. So so many places that out of water for 2 to 3 days right now. My neighborhood is also starting to get out of water, and also most of the supermarkets in my neighborhood and grocery shops are closed right now, and it's very bad.
Right. My last question to you, Ms. Tariq. Are there any signs of the 2 generals willing to end the conflict or talk anytime soon?
No. All the statements are just clashing and clashing back. It's just it's very scary and terrifying. We cannot trust them because they say they're the truth, that the ceasefire, and then there isn't, and then they put conditions to stop ceasefire, which is impossible because and also we're hearing this scary news about Hemeti losing so many of the communication with his leaders on the ground, which is very dangerous for everybody because the RSF occupies most of East Khartoum, where I live.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Tariq, for joining us in WION and sharing your insights with us. We'll, of course, be tracking the story very closely. Thanks very much.